Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another PFN Reviews episode. I am one of your hosts, TJ Cornwell, and with me, I have a special guest. Brandon is back to join us. Hello, Brandon.
How's it going?
Good, good. And today, we're going to be reviewing the first two episodes of the Kenobi series that just premiered last night. I think we're just going to go episode 1 for about 10-15 minutes. We're going to review. We're going to go straight spoilers. We're not going to do any of the spoiler-free thoughts. And then we're just going to go on episode 2, probably another 10-15 minutes, and then we'll finish it out from there. So, Brandon, since you're the guest, I'm going to start with you. What did you think of the first episode?
The first episode, and knowing that there's only 6 episodes, I thought this was a really slow-paced episode. I know you're trying to really get into that feel of lost hope with OBI-WAN, but I felt like it was a little slower paced. The introduction of the Inquisitors was pretty cool. I like that whole setup, and then the ending is pretty awesome when he decides to become the Jedi again. So we'll go more into that though. But I thought it was it's a good setup, but just a little bit slower pace, and I would have knowing that there's only 6 episodes.
Putting in the context that it's 6 episodes, I think it's probably a little bit, probably different for different people. I thought I loved the first episode. I stayed up till, because I was originally gonna stay up till 3 to watch it, and then they actually pushed it up, so it actually came out midnight at 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which actually happened to work out, which was really cool. But yeah, I absolutely loved the first episode. I loved how I loved the whole kind of little sizzle reel at the beginning showing us what happened in the prequels. Like, that got me really ready for the show. And then I liked, showing Obi-Wan and how he's been out there for 10 years and what he's been up to, and how he's kind of turned into this hermit who doesn't really talk to anybody, and that, how we get from this Obi-Wan to Ben in A New Hope. And I think that really, they really did a good job kind of forming that timeline. I like some of the new characters we got. We saw Joel Edgerton back. I liked the introduction of the Inquisitors. And I loved and I was actually very surprised too. The introduction of the young Leia character. I thought that actress, where's her name? If I can find her on here. Vivian Lyra Blair. She's fantastic. I thought the trailers were big subverting of expectations for a lot of people. You watch a trailer, you're like, oh, he's probably on Tatooine the entire time. Like, he's just watching Luke. Like, what is the show gonna be? But as soon as they brought Leia into this, I was like, well, I don't know what to expect now at this point. What was your reaction to that?
I loved young Leia. I loved how they brought her into this. I at first was like, well, then she's gonna know that Ben's a Jedi, and I'm trying to think back to A New Hope, and then I remember that she's the one that calls to him and says, she needs help from Obi-Wan to come save her and everything. So it definitely kind of ties those knots up and those up really well. I thought the actress was outstanding too. I thought, getting the original actors from episode 3 back for Bail and his wife Organa.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. And like you said, I completely forgot, because I was watching with my wife Chrissy, and she had forgotten a lot of it. She had remembered a lot of the parts, but when they played that first opening set of prequel footage, she was just like, oh yeah, I remember that. This was all of what I remember, and then it even tied up some loose ends that she had forgotten about, and like you said, I got the chills and super pumped to then start watching, because it just reminded me of watching those for the first time again.
Yeah, and it's funny because when they introduced Leia in the beginning, when she's getting ready and everything, and she has her hood on, I was like, at first I literally was like, oh, if she's in this, she's gonna be a really small part, and they couldn't find somebody, so they're just gonna keep her face hidden the entire time. I was like, oh, okay. But then when I found out it was oh, she's just being she's just running around kind of being a prankster, I was like, oh, this okay, this really works out. What'd you think of something that surprised me What did you think of the Grand Inquisitor? Like that introduction of Rupert, I think it's Friend is how you pronounce his name, is playing him. And then also the Jedi that is like hung at the end of the the episode.
Nari,
Played by Benny, played by Benny Safdie, who I thought was going to have a little, a bigger part. I mean, he's more of a director, I feel like, than an actor, but he has acted. And he was just like dead, and he had like 5 minutes. What did you think of those two characters? Their kind of introduction.
Yeah, I stated before, the Inquisitor part I thought was really good when they came down into the saloon and was like talking to the owner and everything, and then I thought that's when like Kenobi was going to be hidden, and that's how they were going to reveal him, and then they reveal that it's that Jedi, and then when he first confronts Obi-Wan and like uses his name and says Master, I was like, oh, this is like going to be like a pickup like of what they're going to start to do. He's going to try to train maybe a couple new Jedi, whatever. But then, like you said, he's like basically hung, and that's the kind of tipping point that he has. So, definitely a mix of emotions with that, with how that went. Because I mean, I'm completely fine with it now, looking back at it. Like, good. I'm glad they just like quickly went through that, and that's another thing that Obi-Wan has to deal with, because I feel like this whole series is going to be a lot about self-confliction with him, just like we had talked about in our episode 3 review. But just I really like the Grand Inquisitor, his whole demeanor and everything that was going on with him.
Completely agreed. Like first of all, like Nari, I was very surprised that he was dead so quickly. I thought he might be, carry over, maybe a little bit more importance. Maybe, if he's not dead, you have Obi-Wan ask him to watch over Luke or something like that, because he is a Jedi. So maybe you do that. Grand Inquisitor, I didn't think he looked that. I think it looked better in context. Like I know, I was one person that I thought the Grand Inquisitor in the trailers looked kind of weird. I think his head was too big was the complaint. But it didn't really bother me. He had those like kind of piercing yellow eyes as well that I feel like you get with all those Sith. What was your opinion on, and I feel like this is kind of I've seen some like debate, I feel like on Twitter or on different other video reviews that I've seen, like Moses Ingram, who plays Reva the Inquisitor. What did you think of her? Because I think, and I don't know if it's, and there's, I have like, I think with the second episode, I have like some minor kind of nitpicks that I was kind of like, I didn't really like that. And the first episode, I don't really have much that I felt was poor or anything. And I think she's like a good actress, but I don't know if it's just her character or how it's written. Does she like not, I don't know what the word is. Like she doesn't like, she's not hitting the right notes or something, like, or maybe she's like a one note kind of character. Did you feel that as well?
Yeah, it does not seem like genuine, like she is acting as the actual person that she's portraying. Like it seems a lot more of like I'm just reading lines rather than like I'm in the middle of trying to find the most sought after Jedi of the last whatever 30 years, or well, that 10 years now that he's like become a fugitive or whatever they call him. But yeah, her character is, and I know she's supposed to be like the main antagonist for right now in the first 2 episodes. So it's supposed to be like you're not supposed to like her, but I feel like I'm not liking her for the wrong reasons, not because of like I can't stand her like despicable acts, like what she did, but rather than like just her character.
Yeah, like she is she obviously has some sort of vendetta against Obi-Wan. And I'm assuming we're gonna find out what that is at the end of the show. At least I would hope so. And I don't know if it's like, I thought the scene where she was like kind of interrogating Owen, while Obi-Wan's kind of hiding out in the little shed over there. I thought that was a really good scene. She like just ruthlessly just cut off that one person's hand. Just like, I was like, okay, what? Like she's a little like, she's a little off the cuff, like kind of like, she's gonna, if she says she's gonna do it, she's gonna do it. Like she's not joking.
Right, you get that in the saloon too, where she like tries to slice the one person, and the Grand Inquisitor stops him, stops her because on the arm, and like scorches the arm. But yeah, so her character with that whole like ruthlessness is something
Mm,
that I hope we can see more of. And
mm,
I think as we talk about the second episode as well, I think it's a little bit more towards her redemption with Vader.
mm,
I don't know if there's going to be some kind of arc with that of like her trying to make it up to Vader or seek like some
yeah,
kind of approval, like we're going to talk into about the second episode.
yeah. Um, Also, Sung Kang as well, Fast and Furious alum, showing up as the fifth brother. I thought he was good.
Yep.
Lot of makeup prosthetics on his face. Somebody I and we haven't really talked about Obi-Wan, so I want to talk about him before we move on to episode 2. But
Yep.
I really loved, and like I said in the beginning of this review, like I loved how he has become this kind of hermit. Where am I mistaken, or is that R2 in the cave, in the entrance to the cave? Because
So
didn't
I
R2
thought that
get
at
on
first too,
the?
but like
But now I'm thinking, like, didn't he get on the what's it called at the end of Revenge of the Sith? Didn't he get on that ship?
with the Organas,
Yes.
I don't remember. That's a good question. So that's what I thought originally. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, there's no way. And then C-3PO was with the Organas as
Right.
well. So
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm thinking
Uh,
maybe he's with the Organas, but he could be with
yeah.
Obi-Wan. Who knows? Um, but yeah, Obi-Wan's character. I mean, Ewan McGregor is my favorite actor
Oh,
from
yeah.
the original prequels, and so I mean, he can really do no wrong in my
Mhm.
eyes, and his portrayal is just really good.
Yeah.
It looks like Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith, just
Yeah.
aged 10 years. Like, just,
Mm.
it's amazing. Like, I thought, and I'm like, this is 17 years later, and he still looks like he's maybe like 8 or 9, maybe even like 7 years later because of how well it's just like the scraggly hair and a little
Mm.
bit like dirtier. But his character and like the whole him just becoming like conformed to his life of, like you said, like being a hermit, going to work, just
Right.
not sticking up for the guy who like gets half pay and just kind of sticking to himself. And then even the interaction with what we said, it was Nari in the middle of the desert
Mm.
at night when he's just like, yeah, that person doesn't exist. Like,
Mm.
you just need to go and you need to hide. You need to
Yeah.
not do this anymore. We lost. So
Yeah.
his character is great.
I got and maybe this is kind of a weird comparison, but I got Last Jedi Luke vibes, where he's kind of just like, I feel like Luke had kind of given up, and I almost feel like that's the way Obi-Wan was, where he's kind of like, it's over, like we lost, like there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more somber though, rather than
Yeah.
Luke being more like angry.
Uh-huh.
He's just like, stop
Yeah,
trying,
yeah.
it's over. And then
Right,
like
yeah.
Obi-Wan's just like, well, we lost. Like you
Yeah.
don't need, like, he's more of like what we know Obi-Wan can be to like Anakin, where he was just like
Mm-hmm.
trying to be like that reason voice, the voice of
Yeah.
reason towards them, and just like, no, you got to
Yeah.
really think about your future. Just go on, live your own life, just put it away.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of like Luke, but yeah, there are a lot of similarities where it's the hopelessness and losing that kind of fighting mentality that we've known from them
Mm-hmm.
to stand up to what is right.
Yeah. Another thing I really liked in this first episode, and I just found like it brought some humor, I felt like, was his interaction with the Jawa, where he's buying parts from him, and then Jawa's like, he's like, oh man, somebody stole my like processor, and Jawa's like, oh, I got one right here, and he's like, well, you stole it from me. You're gonna sell it
Yeah,
back to me.
yeah, at least clean it first. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just like, yeah, the least you can do is clean it before you sell it back to me. But
Yeah.
then, yeah, I was really confused that part, because I was just like, aside from that, but like I was really
Yeah.
confused as what he like had his eye caught on at first,
Right.
and then once Owen returns that object, whatever it is, like he's just like, leave me alone, leave us alone, like leave him alone.
Mm.
And so that kind of started the whole, okay, well, he's watching over Luke, he's trying to
Mm.
get him ready and everything. So that was another really good thing I think they did for the first part. The interaction between Owen and
Mm.
Obi-Wan, I know it was spoiled in the trailer, but like
Right. Yeah.
the extended conversation that they had really brought more to it,
Mm-hmm.
which was really nice. And they
Yeah.
didn't blunder that, so
Uh-huh.
really
Um,
good.
last thing I do want to touch on, I think, in this episode is what a lot of people I think suspected or expected of this show, and we're obviously going to get more of it through the episode or through the episodes, but Obi-Wan trying to reach out to Qui-Gon, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Yoda's like, he knows how to do, like, I will teach you, or I have this, this mission for you or whatever, learn how to communicate with Qui-Gon and everything. And, 10 years have passed and he still has not done it, obviously. So I think obviously by the end of this show, we get that resolution. But were you like happy to see that? Cause that was something that I told Sean, like, I was like, that you need to have that, like rewatching the third one. So recently, Revenge of the Sith, I was like, cause I forgot about that line. So I was like, you got to put that in.
Right. So I had said like, it would be around the same level of unexpectedness and like, just like feel good moment as Luke at the end of Mandalorian. But I like how I think it was like in the first couple minutes, they like go right to that. He's just like trying to talk to Qui-Gon. And then also we even touch on the first scene in the whole show, which was the execute Order 66 moment in the Jedi Temple. And I thought that scene was great too. That like really sets up like the Jedi have died and this is now what they've been accustomed to living like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Reva is probably in that scene. Like she's probably as a kid in there, in that scene maybe. I think somebody probably pointed her out at one point. I didn't really like pay attention to, who the kids were, but I think that's probably, when we find out why she became an Inquisitor or why she's so after Obi-Wan, or even how she knows who Anakin is, that Anakin's Darth Vader.
Yeah,
that's another big question.
As you're saying this, I'm like, man, what if Anakin spares her when he goes to the Jedi Temple?
So
like,
that's
I didn't even think of that when you had mentioned that she was probably in there. That's
and that's not me coming up. That's that's just the internet doing things. But and this is this is probably the last thing on this episode is. Were you surprised? I was surprised that, and people would be like, well, it was never established that, but I was surprised that he found out. I'm surprised that he didn't know that Anakin was Darth Vader. Because I just figured but then at the same time, I'm kind of like, I guess he's been in hiding for 10 years. So it's kind of like, how would you figure that out? But I don't know. That was just me.
Do you think that he doesn't know that he's Darth Vader? I thought that he
Because at the end of the second episode, he has that like, I think I might actually be getting into the second episode, but at the end of the second episode, he has that like revelation. He's like, Anakin's alive. But then I was like, in Revenge of the Sith, when they're in the Jedi Temple and he's watching the camera footage, doesn't he see Palpatine? Or maybe he doesn't see him call him Darth.
Yeah, but I don't think when he has that revelation in episode 2, I don't think it's when she says Anakin Skywalker's alive. I think because right when she says Lord Vader's alive, like he like stops.
Oh.
So he knows. I think he's already made the connection. That like he already knows that Anakin Skywalker is. But then she says his name, and that like even does more like oh my god moment. Because then, like you said, how does she know that that's Anakin Skywalker?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so let's we're already pretty much there, but let's move on to episode 2, which obviously also came out last night. What did you think of episode 2? Did you like it more than episode 1 or about the same or?
Oh, I definitely liked it more the way they tied it up. But, so the whole, and I guess we can talk about I'll tie this back into episode 1 as well. But the Leia chase scenes from the people chasing her just It was a little like
they were a bit rough.
Like like you can't chase down a 10-year-old. And they were like purposefully falling. And it was like, okay, this is a little theatrical, but whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and nitpick. But the second episode definitely is good. The whole new planet idea and trying to go around him confronting the fake Jedi in the cellar, and then
Kumail Nanjiani. Yep.
I didn't remember his name, but so that whole part of the episode, and then obviously the ending is just what really And I think that's really important that they put this at the end, like they put out both episodes 1 and 2 together, because that definitely, if it would have ended up after episode 1, which would have been fine, because then it's like, oh, it's the start of his journey. Um, it's fine, but like the end of episode 2 now is just like that, oh my gosh moment. This is really what I came here to see, is now the still of Anakin at the end is crazy. I didn't think they'd show him like that.
No, yeah.
I thought it would just be like Darth Vader, maybe, like, I know Hayden Christensen is supposed to portray him. I didn't know if there was So I didn't know if they were just gonna do some kind of like old footage, but they actually showed him in the tank as Darth Vader, and then that's one way to end an episode.
Yeah, I would have been pretty upset if they had just put out the first episode. Not because I just felt like it was kind of like, obviously we're getting started, but it's like, give me a little bit more, to get me more excited. Yeah, episode 2 I thought was still very good. There's some small little nitpicks I have with it. I didn't think personally it was as good as the first episode, but I did like how we got to the new planet. And we were there the entire time. I feel like a lot of the trailers were like, we're on Tatooine a lot, and we're there the first episode, and we might not even go back. We might not go back, which I think would be, a little nice brush. What's it called? Breath of fresh air. But yeah, I liked the interaction that Obi-Wan had with Leia. I love their chemistry. I could do without those kidnappers. They just seem like a bunch of bumbling idiots to me. Not
Team
really
Rocket.
all that. Yeah, Team Rocket. Yes, basically, not all that menacing. Were you surprised? And I don't know if you know anything about the Grand Inquisitor, or because you haven't watched Rebels or anything.
No.
Well, it's not really a spoiler, I guess. Chances are he's not dead, but we're not really sure, because he is a villain in Rebels.
I know that. Like, I know a little bit about him, because when he was released for Kenobi, and then everyone's like talking about him, I was like, all right, gotta go look up stuff about him a little bit.
Yeah, but I know people are making like assumptions that like it's not the same guy, because I don't think they have like name. I think it's just like Grand Inquisitor. I don't know if they're ever established like a name or anything. I could be wrong, but
I think he's just, that's what they call the top, like chief justice kind of style thing.
How did the rooftop chase play for you? For me, it was not more Obi, it was more Reva than anybody else. It was just the flips and all the parkour stuff. And I was like, I don't need this. Just, I get it. She's I know she's powerful. You don't have to show me like having her do all these jumps. Like it looked like the Lego Star Wars jumps, where they're like,
they do the backwards flip instead of the front flip. So that whole scene, I don't know about, I get like the disconnect between Leia and Obi-Wan during that scene. Like she finds the picture of him, and then she freaks out and runs away, and then so that kind of makes sense. And then when he's chasing her, I thought that scene, and it was so extended for my taste, was, like you said, a lot of her doing the flips, and then it's a lot of the same shooting back and forth between Obi-Wan and the lizard.
He really couldn't hit that one guy.
Constantly missing. It was constantly missing the same spots over and over again. And he'd sit there behind the vent and turn back around and shoot some more. And then it was just like, all right, something's got to... I know you're stalling for her to get there. But like something has to happen. And I also do like that, and I will say this, and I'm really glad this has happened, that they have not used his lightsaber yet. Because I think that, especially with this rooftop scene and him having to use all of his might to save Leia from falling, to like reuse his Force abilities and relearn the Force abilities, has been like a breath of fresh air, because now he's just like trying to do it by wits or through physical activity, and not relying, like he's making that transition into not being a Jedi anymore. And so that whole dynamic of him not using his lightsaber or using the Force until
Mm-hmm.
that moment when need was, I thought, really, really rewarding for that scene.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I really did. I really liked the kind of, he's really put in a tough spot where, she's falling and he has to use his, force abilities to keep her alive, obviously. Um, and obviously they're kind of, they're out of hiding at that point. Um, but, like thinking, and again, same with you, like I thought it was a little prolonged where it's like, it took a lot of shots to kill the one guy. Like, and I get, he's not like he's not using a gun every day of his life. So it's kind of like, I kind of get it. Like, he's not the best aimer. So, I kind of give that stuff a pass. But, like stuff like, for me, like, I think more what bothered me about this episode was just kind of things that were very, I don't know if they were just like quick or like for example, when he's in the kind of like meth lab type thing or whatever that is, and he puts on the mask and everybody's like, oh, it's like Breaking Bad. Yes. But when he like the thing explodes and he just walks by, I'm like, anybody not just see him just like explode that thing? Or when he lowers Leia onto the ground and then he's already downstairs. I'm like, how do you get downstairs so quickly?
Yeah, definitely. That was when she like just starts when he saves her. Yeah, when he's just like at the edge of the roof, and then all of a sudden he's just on the floor. But
yeah, and that just that might just be like me nitpicking, but it just seems like they're just very convenient moments where I'm like, well, especially the explosion scene with the test tube. I was like, what, guys? There's like 20 people in here. Like, did nobody see him just do? He just walks right by.
Yeah. And
then oh my god.
And everything. Yeah.
Yeah. What else happened? Oh, we got the Tamar Morrison kind of cameo, which is kind of cool. I don't know if he'll show up again. Is the clone, kind of homeless clone with the big beard, laying on the ground. I thought at first that might have been Cody, which I was like, oh, that'd be cool. Which I know there's some like people, are like, oh, is he gonna show up? I don't know. I don't know where the hell we would be. But it's definitely a possibility. But I did think it was him at first, but then I saw he was blue, not orange. I was like, okay. Or is he yellow? Is he orange or yellow?
I would say it's more of an orange color. I mean, it's like that like macaroni color.
Right. Yeah.
And Rex.
Yeah, it's definitely more like an orange. Yes.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it could have been Rex too. Like, we don't know where Rex was. At least I could be wrong about that. I don't think we know where Rex was from the end of Revenge of the Sith to where we see him in Rebels. So it could have been. I mean, they don't.
I just thought it was like a little unique that they still had the clone armor on him rather than like the stormtroopers, like what they got accustomed to doing.
And you do see that too. You see the stormtroopers, and then you also see that clone right there, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I think we're still leading up to the whole. That's another big question that the show won't answer, but I think, yeah, again, I don't really remember Bad Batch all that much, but I think that's what Bad Batch is working on, is the whole kind of, well, why did we move from clones to stormtroopers? Like, why would we move from these? We could just keep making them to stormtroopers where it's just humans, which I think is interesting. What else happened? Am I missing anything like big?
No, not really. It was the rescue scene.
Yeah. Oh, what did you find the kind of Kumail Nanjiani like magnet thing funny? I thought that was funny. How he was like had magnets and all that other stuff.
I thought it was worse what he was doing. Like, I thought he went to go get those families killed, but he was in turn helping them, but like for a steep price and everything. Right. And so it wasn't as bad. But yeah, I thought that was all right. Like, nothing that I'm gonna sit here and get mad at. Like, it's right. Filler that works. So not bad. Then we get the whole like like you said, the chemistry between Obi-Wan and young Leia is good. The whole when he was buying her the outfit, and then she's like putting on the gloves.
Yeah, he goes, "You don't need the gloves," and then she buys them anyway.
Yeah, that whole dynamic is really cool. But yeah, and then we get to the final scene where Reva tracks down Obi-Wan at the hangar, and then the Grand Inquisitor comes in, and they have. I also that's the other thing. The whole dialogue between the Grand Inquisitor and even the brother and then Reva. I thought their whole dialogue is good too, and I thought if we go back to episode 1 where she's first confronted about that by the brother, and she like shrugs him off in the alleyway, and she was like, this is just not good enough for me." And so I thought their whole dynamic in that scene where he's saying that you'll be dealt with later is really good, and then obviously the hangar scene is just great because then the revelation happens where Sean did talk about this when we did review episode 3 is like, does he know that Anakin's still alive? Like, would he know? And then that's answered that he did not.
Yeah.
At the end of
I just
1.
I told him, I was like, I could have sworn it was like established. Like I thought I could have sworn it was somewhere, like in a book or something. But I guess not.
Yeah. But yeah, that revelation is really, really powerful at the end of episode 2. And
agreed.
Really
that I mean, if anything, if episode 2 beats episode 1 anything for me, it's that ending scene.
Yeah, I said, I don't even think you needed the reveal of Anakin at the end of it. Like him just finding out that he's alive is good, and then you see Anakin as Darth Vader is just like cherry on top, but even more. Like you need whipped cream.
Yeah, so I think now we can move into kind of wrapping this review up and to maybe talking about the future episodes. But I think I've kind of put, and I think when the trailers were coming out, I was like, oh, maybe we get Hayden and Ewan in some flashback scenes. I don't think that anymore. I have a feeling he might be in the suit the entire time.
Yeah, I think going forward, it's just going to be in the suit, which I think
is kind of for me, it's a bummer, but
Yeah, I think, and I would welcome him coming back, and I think I'd seen somewhere where he was just like, I'm glad they finally started to accept me and everything, but I've always been a Hayden Christensen fan. I think that his character was supposed to be the whiny brat. Like I know a lot of his lines are terrible, but like there's a lot of whininess to him that people got really turned off by. But I think that was integral to his character, and that gets overlooked a lot of the time. But I would really like to see some kind of, like we said, like maybe the whole Anakin saving Reva in the Jedi Temple. If we get like Hayden Christensen in that role, or maybe like a little bit later on, or if he ever takes the mask off or has a mask off when talking in the tank or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, like I don't know if I said it to you or if I said it to Sean or both of you, whatever. But I would love a Ahsoka Vader-esque moment where, as in Rebels, I think I said it to you, whereas Ahsoka hits like half of his helmet off and you see his actual face, and I would love that kind of moment for this show. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I mean, they're gonna battle at some point, so it's like it could happen. There's been speculation. People think maybe Ahsoka could show up, where I think that I don't know if we need, because she's getting her own show, so it's kind of like I don't know if we need her to show up and everything. And did you finish Book Boba Fett or no?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Well,
I tried to get through it by the end of today.
I mean, it's not really. She shows up, but she doesn't really do much. Like she's there, but just kind of to be there. Whereas if in Mando, it's a different story. But yeah, for me, like I'm really excited to see where the show's gonna go. I can't wait to see them, finally, come face back on screen, I guess, for the first time with the suit. And that's more saying Ewan and Hayden, not because we obviously had Alec Guinness and A New Hope. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see where this show goes. I thought they started off very, very well, very strong. And then there's some speculation that maybe Reva could turn, because there's these character posters where every villain has has in their eye, they have like a image of like Obi-Wan, but Reva has an image of Vader. So, and every hero has an image of Vader in their eye. So there's like that, people like speculating, they go, oh, is she gonna turn, back? But well, I guess we'll see.
I would love to see a lightsaber duel between them, and I was kind of hoping for that at the end of 2. Like he tries to just fend her off.
I thought that's what was gonna happen too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not the same like swordsman or whatever the knight that he was back in episode 3, but at least holds his own. And then because he is Obi-Wan Kenobi, but
yeah, he's still got some juice in the tank.
Yeah. I'm just hoping maybe I would like a good lightsaber fight going forward somewhere.
We gotta get. I mean, they've been. I think they've been. There's been choreography and everything. Like they're gonna. It's just a matter of what episode it is.
It's just been too long of live action. You don't get it really in any other show, and then hopefully this is just like this takes cake by.
And I know, I know Hayden. I'm pretty sure he said like he would love to do like if they ever did like a Vader show, like he'd love to do that, which I think be really cool. And I don't actually know because
I would too if I was Hayden.
Right, like I didn't watch this movie. I didn't watch Revenge of the Sith when it came out. Like, and maybe I did ask you this because I think Danielle asked me, and I was like, I don't remember. But was Hayden like? And you have to remind me if you already told me. But was Hayden like? Was he liked when these movies came out, or no? Wasn't he very kind of like people were not a fan of Hayden Christensen as kind of?
Yeah, it was always the biggest critique of him. I remember when Attack of the Clones came out, and I had watched it. I'd watched Attack of the Clones in theaters with a couple of my friends and my family. So I remembered the one. He was older. He's a couple years older than me. I think it's like 8 years older than me. But he had just said like, I don't like these movies because he just does not do good at acting. And like I think he was more of like trying to follow along and everything with what everyone else was saying. But like as a kid growing up, I thought it was perfect. And so I think there's a definite split between older generation and newer generation towards Hayden. But I have never, ever had an issue with him. I do think an Attack of the Clones was a little poorly written between him and Padme, but yeah. One last thing, because I really did like how Obi-Wan stops when they're going towards the hangar, and he mentions Padme, not by name, when he like talks about how Leia reminds him of her, and like she was like, was she a Jedi? And he just like stops, and he's just like, no, she was a leader, and that kind of like ties back into that. And her character is how she's going to turn into like the leader of Alderaan, and then going forward as the rebellion. And so I thought that was just a really good moment. I thought, and that actress, and I want to talk about her a little bit right now because that actress really does, and I don't know if it's written or if she's doing it, but she just gives me, and maybe I'm just like stretching it out, but she really gives me like Leia vibes, like super independent, like Carrie Fisher style vibes. Like she is what I would imagine a young Carrie Fisher would be if she was asked to play that role.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm just like looking at her IMDb real quick. Like, it's definitely not her first like, acting out. She's been on in a couple of movies and a lot of series. Like, she's pretty well versed, it seems, so far in her career. So, I'm excited to see, if they use her again. Like, if they made some sort of show, like if she got older, I'd be so down for that because I think she really nails the character. But yeah, I think that'll do it for our Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 1 and 2 review. As always, thank you, Brandon, for joining me for this review.
Yeah, it's super fun to do these, especially with such a interesting and meaningful show to me.
Yeah, we'll have to probably next one's Sean will be on, but we'll have to have you back.
Yeah, maybe at the end, just trying to wrap everything up. And
and that'll do it for me as well. You can follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of the episodes. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let us know. Subscribe to all our other channels, and we will see you next time.